the States, where President Joe Biden said he ended his re-election bid to unite his party and his country. In a rare televised address from the Oval Office, he said, quote, "It's time to pass the torch to a new generation." He adds that personal ambition cannot get in the way of saving U.S. democracy and that for the next 6 months, he will focus on doing his job as president. We have more in this report.
It's become clear to me.
U.S. President Joe Biden has told Americans in a televised address that he decided to run his forthcoming re-election campaign in a bid to save U.S. democracy. Mr. Biden, who is 81-year-old, said he felt his record as president merited a second term.
Nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
The White House speech marked his first public appearance since he exited the race on 21 July, paving the way for Ms. Harris to run for the party's nomination.
We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. But we came together as Americans, and we got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years.
Tears aside the White House as Biden addressed the nation on Wednesday night. Mr. Biden spoke for 11 minutes from the Oval Office with his wife Jill, son Hunter, and daughter Ashley in the room alongside some key White House staff.
You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world.
Meanwhile, the 78-year-old Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump posted on his social media platform Truth Social on Wednesday night that the president was barely understandable and so bad. Also earlier that day, at a rally, Mr. Trump said Kamala Harris was quoted as radical left lunatic.
She's worse than him, because he's a fake liberal. You know, he wasn't that liberal. He was fake. She's a real liberal. She really is a real liberal. She's much worse than him. Now, if we start beating her in the polls by 10 or 15 points, are they going to bring in a third candidate? It's like, you know, Trump is killing this guy. All right, out. Let's bring in a new one. Out. Out.
Opinion polls so far indicate a tight race between the former president and Kamala Harris in a hypothetical matchup. For her part, Ms. Harris is hitting the campaign trail. On Wednesday, she addressed the historically black Zeta Phi Beta sorority in Indianapolis, telling members that her new campaign is not playing around and asked for their help to get elected. President Biden did not mention the 3 weeks of mounting pressure he had faced from top Democrats and donors to step aside in the wake of his disastrous debate performance against Trump late last month.
The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression.
I'm joined now by public affairs analyst and publisher Nifemi Oguntoye for more on this development. Mr. Oguntoye, thank you for joining us on the news this hour. Uniting the nation, saving democracy, and uniting his party are reasons why President Biden says a step down. But do you think that passing the torch to a new generation can become his legacy, considering that he held on to running weeks before he made that decision until he probably succumbed to pressure from within his party?
Yes, I think what President Joe Biden has done is laudable, is commendable, and passing the torch to the new generation. You know, as they say that the solution of 20 years ago cannot be in tandem with the solution you can provide in this current generation. Things change. The only thing that is constant is change. And just like he enjoyed the same support from his predecessor, and doing that for Kamala Harris is laudable and commendable. And not only that, is uniting his party and also the nation who are divided along the whether he should run or not to run, whether his health is failing him or not. So for President Joe Biden to have supported Kamala Harris is a laudable one, and I think it's something that also African leaders should learn from, because it will be very difficult for a sitting president to support his vice president, show his interest, to run for the presidency. But what President Joe Biden has done is commendable, is laudable. No wonder some world leaders around the world, they began to send a message that you have done noble for yourself, you have done noble for America. America will pride itself as the hallmark of democracy, that if it can be done there, it should surely other nation or other country can, take a bite from them and do the same.
I'm wondering if you think his speech was enough to address concerns of some voters who may feel disillusioned with the current political landscape in the U.S.
Yes, just like he said, he reiterated that he's doing this just to let the younger generation to come on board. I'm sure the Republicans, they will be disappointed. They've been hammering on that Joe Biden is too old, he's losing his memory, he's not fit to be the president of America. But now he has handed over debating, he has passed debating to his deputy, and that's to show that those people who feel that the younger generation also should come on board, it will rally around their support. And also don't forget the female black voters. They made up of 96% during Barack Obama, and when Hillary Clinton came on board, I think they gave about 90% of their vote. I'm sure this time around they are going to rally around Kamala Harris, to give her their full support. And election is just a number of votes. So I see them believe in that statement and queue behind the Democrat. As you said, the poll is showing that it's very tight to call who should win the election. And this Kamala Harris just came up just about a few days ago. And don't also forget, in the history of American election, in less than, or let me say 24 hours, he raised almost $100 million in campaign fund, which has never happened before. So that's to show that a lot of people key into what President Joe Biden did.
Well, we'll see how that plays out in the coming days. Some would say it's Kamala Harris' honeymoon, and that in no time the reality will start dawning as regards the role she's played as VP and also as Biden's co-pilot. But we had the U.S. president communicate his commitment to completing his term despite withdrawing from this race. What do you make of the Republicans' position that if he isn't fit to run, perhaps he should also resign his office?
No, saying that to resign his office. Just like he said he's going to concentrate on finishing the job to make sure he finishes strong. And so he won't be divided. His attention will not be taken away that he has to run from one state to the other campaigning for the Democrats. So let's give him the time so that he can focus on what he has started. And for Kamala Harris, I think she has learned from the best mentor, someone who has been in the Senate for over 36 years, who was in the Senate for 36 years, who was a vice president for years, and also a president, and who is the best mentor that Kamala Harris should learn from or to work with. So I'm very sure that he will do his Biden. He has said that he wants to focus on what he has been elected to do, which is governance, and which is, I believe him that he should focus on that, while Kamala Harris should face the campaign and the election proper.
Good place to leave it. Publisher Megastar Magazine, Adeneyi Ifetayo. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Nifemi.
Well, President Biden